The vision of Katharine Briggs was to understand human development and to discover the keys that would enable each other and each individual to reach his or her full potential. Interest in personality theory was born when she read a book by Carl Jung in 1923. Katharine shared her feelings with Isabel, and together they created an inventory. They both had a passion for understanding human development and a desire to make personality theory accessible to everyone in a practical way. To enable individuals to go through an understanding and appreciation of individual differences in healthy personalities and to enhance harmony and productivity in diverse groups, which I think is awesome and a major reason why I picked to investigate and dive deeper into personality types. Jung published Psychological Types in 1921. Briggs read the English translation in 1923 and saw similarities between their ideas. However, Jung's theories of personal difference was much more developed than Briggs. Gradually creating her own formation, she discovered and adopted the ideas and framework expressed by C.G. Jung in his book Psychological Types, as we just talked about. The rest of her life was focused on studying the works of Jung and striving to bring the potential benefits of knowing and applying his ideas to the world. Briggs and Myers thought Jung's work was so useful that they wanted to make his ideas accessible to a wider audience. His ideas were so powerful that they could help people make better life choices and use individual differences in constructive ways. Isabel Briggs Myers, with a bachelor's degree in political science and no academic affiliation, was responsible for the creation of what has become the most widely used and highly respected personality inventory of all time. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, MBTI, instrument, now taken by at least 2 million people each year and translated into 16 languages, was developed over a period of more than 40 years, progressing from Isabel Myers' dining room to a cottage industry, to the prestigious educational testing service, and to its current publisher, the Myers-Briggs Company. MBTI neatly categorizes everyone into one of the 16 personality types, a combination of extroversion, introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking freely, feeling, and judging, perceiving, based on answers to questions. He became intensely interested in exploring individual differences within type and effective type development. Identified meditative types, spontaneous types, executive types, and sociable types. Some books have been written about how to use type in education, careers, management, leadership, intimate relationships, counseling, parenting, children, teamwork, spirituality, lifelong development, and other areas of interest for people using types. MBTI questionnaire helps people identify the type that fits best. It points people to a description to try on for size. Type describes differences in how people approach the world, take in information, and make decisions. It relates to situations people encounter every single day. People have put this type of theory of psychological type to practical use. The human touch helps. For others, it hinders. Knowing that your own type is the first step for wannabe leaders. Did, however, perceive themselves to be significantly more transformational than those did who reported them. Leader preference for extroversion over introversion and intuition over perception were both significantly associated with self-reports of transformational Asian leadership. The Myers-Briggs results are supposed to eliminate employee personalities and ease collaboration. Federal agencies have been using this test for decades in an attempt to improve management. Wells writes about the influence of her parents' ways on what ultimately became her life work. She was first inspired to research personality type theory when she met Isabel's future husband, Clarence Myers. She noticed he had a different way of seeing the world. This intrigued her enough to start a literature review to understand different temperaments. A major change in the development of the indicator came when her father happened to mention his daughter's work to the dean of the George Washington School of Medicine, who permitted her to test a freshman at a school. This was the beginning of a sample that eventually included 5,355 medical students, one of the largest longitudinal studies in medicine. Between Isabel's type preference, INFP, and Clarence's type preference, ISTJ, was an important fact in the history of the MBTI. The instrument. My digging deeper of personality types, we will go over the key moments in the MBTI history. So in 1919, Isabella Briggs Myers graduated from Swarthmore College. Isabella's mother, Catherine Briggs, starts to research personality type theory. Then in 1921, Carl Jung publishes Psychological Types, the Psychological of Individualization. Next, in 1943, Form A of the instrument is copyrighted. Then in 1962, Isabelle self-publishes Introduction to Type, Educational Testing Services, ETS, publishes research version of the MBTI instrument in the MBTI manual. Then, in 1968, Catherine Cook-Briggs dies. MBTI questionnaire published in Japan by industrial psychologist Tasuki Oshawa. It's the first MBTI translation. In 1969, Isabelle Briggs Myers and clinical psychologist Mary McCauley starts Typological Lab. Then in 1975, CPP Inc., formerly Consulting Psychologists Press, publishes the MBTI instrument. Typology Lab becomes the Center for Application of Psychological Type, CAPT. It is the center for research, data collection, information, training, and publications. Next, in 1977, CAPT publishes first issue of the Journal of Psychological Type. Next, in 1980, Isabelle Briggs Myers dies. Peter and Catherine Myers become co-owners of the MBTI copyrights. In 1985, MBTI Manual 2nd edition is published. Then in 1990, Form K published. It is a prosecutor to the Step 2 assessment, Form Q. So, in 1998, Step 1, Form M, is updated, and MBTI Manual 3rd edition is published. And then in 2001, Step 2, Form Q, and MBTI Step 2 Manual is also published. Fast forward to 2007, the MBTI Completed is launched, and in 2009, Step 3 is published. Then, in 2017, the CPP Inc. buys OPP Ltd., and in 2018, the CPP Inc. becomes the Myers-Briggs Company. Finally, in 2019, the new global versions of MBTI Step 1 and Step 2 assessments are published, and the new version of MBTI Online is finally launched. I picked to research the Myers-Briggs Company because I find it very fascinating, and although everyone is different, we all have special values, strengths, and weaknesses.